So I've been just playing with the Snapple bottle for a good, like, I don't know, 3 minutes. I hope you're not bored or anything, because I fucking am. You know, that's the one downside to having a game that where everything is hand-drawn and beautifully crafted, like The Last of Us. Everything has to be installed. All of this install data. My god. Once I'm done with this game, this all is getting deleted. Every last 10 terabytes of it. Man, you know how much porn I could fill with that? God. I'm just gonna play with my Snapple bottle. While looking at the screen and watching it just continue. Ooh. So, how's it going? I think it's been going pretty well for me, honestly. I don't know, my feet hurt a lot. I work and I stand a lot. You know, it would be awesome if I had a job where I can sit down every, once in a while. Great. Or if there were just like stairs installed in the register in the clerk position at like the register. That would be great. But nope. Why do all jobs require you to stand? God. You know, if I had a desk I can sit down at, not use my legs, and just use my, hands and or brain, that would be great. Gosh, isn't that the weird thing? Why is like creativity worshipped in our society? Honestly, when you go down to like a CEO position, not a CEO position. God, what am I saying? What am I trying to get across? What I'm trying to say here is that there are multiple sectors of job titles that are prestigious and some that are not as prestigious, alright? And in one of those sectors, there's 4 actually, in one of the sectors it's called the star quadrant. Or at least that's the term coined by my research paper teacher. Yeah, research paper. That's what he taught. And the star quadrant is filled with creativity. People who are creative, who can like come up with ideas and generate things like that. Anyone can do that, honestly. Any single person can do that. Yet, why is it frowned upon when people actually go into those fields? Why in society is it frowned upon to be creative? Like, you go down to college, and then you say to, I don't know, your teachers or your parents, and you say to them, oh, I want to be like a literature freaking major, alright? Because I want to write books. I want to get creative. And then people are like, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Come on, go into the sciences. That's where all the money is. Why is it always about money? Alright? When in actuality, creativity is paid the most, is the most valued in any company. Because companies need the creativity to sell their product and make, marketing and all that stuff. Whereas engineers, physicists, scientists, mathematicians, all that stuff, there isn't as much of a degree of variance in creativity there, because anyone can do the square root of, or the integral of 1 over the square root of x minus 1. Anyone can do that. So, and anyone can be taught to do that. Anyone can be taught to be an engineer or scientist, and it's fairly the same job. And that's kind of the thing that nowadays we're outsourcing already, like tech jobs. We're outsourcing those jobs that are supposed to be, like guaranteed when you go into this field, and all that other junk. God, I went off on a tangent. What was I going back to again? Something about creativity and why it's frowned upon. So, you go and you're like, oh, I'm going to be a literature major. Your parents are like, fuck you kid. You're not wasting my $2,000. Not $2,000. Yeah, right, I wish college was $2,000. You're not wasting my $2 million. Okay, that's maybe a bit too expensive. Alright, let's give a more realistic number, like $80,000, sure. $80,000 is fairly I guess, reasonable. It's not too expensive. It's not overly expensive. I don't know, for 4 years, because for the most part, when you're going to a 4-year college, you're going to have to pay for those first 4 years yourselves. But by the time you get into your doctorate or your master's, someone else is paying for that for you. Of course, someone else is giving you money to go to school to do these things because they see your prospects and they're like, yeah, we're going to fund this for this kid so he can go to do, I don't know, physics or whatnot. But creativity is frowned upon in our society. Like, you can't go do like liberal arts or fine arts or any of that stuff for your major because people are like, oh no, you fucking retard, what are you doing? You're gonna go and get like better degree. Whereas, you know, like science, everyone's like, oh yeah, do the sciences because the sciences is where it's at and stuff. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but what about, you know, the liberal arts, the humanities, the other side of it? Like, you can't just denigrate those. Those are important things. The sciences don't teach you, like, human morality or human existentialism or anything that kind of relates to us, you know? Like, who we are as humans and what we do, our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions on a more, I want to say, like, qualitative level. Yeah, that's the one where you use words and not numbers. Whereas the sciences, they try to understand us on a numbers-based level, so like a quantitative level. And then, honestly, both of the sides are trying to just figure out what the universe is. Both of them are trying to figure out the same exact questions. They just go about doing it in a different way. Humanities, the creativity part of it, and all of that just kind of looks at the world and tries to describe it, try to understand it emotionally. Like, when you listen to a piece of music, you're not trying to, like, write down the numbers, like, what you feel, how you feel in numbers. You are describing them in words and feelings and keys and all sorts of other wishy-washy malarkey. Whereas the sciences do the same thing, just in numbers. But sometimes those numbers can feel a bit detached and unemotive. And honestly, I am just rambling right now. God, 70%. Jesus fucking Christ, it's been 10 minutes! Goddamn, 10 minutes! Ah, God, why? All of this hand-drawn stuff. I'm gonna throw my Snapple bottle at you, you fool. Ah! Jeez. Just had 30 more % of this. So what else can I talk about? I guess that whole spiel about creativity didn't really lead anywhere, and I did it. I mean, I really did just try to ramble. Try to occupy myself for this, I don't know, 75% of time. 10 minutes. 10 minutes of just me talking about stuff. Jeez. Why are the sciences so, like, important to us then? I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate either side. I'm not trying to say the sciences are bad, or I'm not trying to say the humanities are better. I'm not trying to say either side is better. I'm just saying that both sides, I think, should be taught. They're important pieces of human culture and history. I mean, God, kids these days, they don't want to open up textbooks and read about history and stuff. Nobody does. Seriously, I don't even want to learn about history. History is just, there, but it's important. He who cannot learn from his past is doomed to fail and repeat the mistakes of predecessors long before him. I mean, come on, Hitler and Napoleon? They both, like, seriously, Hitler, you gotta pack those winter coats, man. What the hell, dude? Whoops, okay. Yeah, you gotta learn from your past. You gotta learn from all this stuff. And I think both sides should be learned. I think one day, all of these things can be interconnected and interweaved. One of the main things for the advancement of the humanities that, you know, the humanities kind of lack, but the fields in science totally have down, is the integration of the fields within their own field. So imagine for an instant, it's like a domino effect, right? So you have like math on one side, physics on the other, and then it goes on to like chemistry, biology, genetics, psychology, etc., etc., etc. And you like the moment you knock down one of them, all the rest of them fall down. That's what the sciences have that the humanities lack. Because if you make an advancement in mathematics, that's going to translate into physics, because physics uses a lot of mathematics. So if you can somehow like get the integral of I to the power of x and then fucking integrate that shit, or make like new mathematical equations, etc., you can advance physics, and in turn physics advances chemistry, because chemistry uses a lot of physics too, and then biology, because of biology is a lot of chemistry as well, and then onward and onward and onward. But the humanities don't do that. They don't do that. Like, seriously, you open up a sociology textbook and you see gender roles, and they do nothing. They talk absolutely nothing about male and female dimorphism in biological anthropology, which is probably one of the main stem points of gender roles, because back then it was kind of important. It was essential to the survival of the human race that we had those gender roles, that women would be the gatherers because they were the most important, because they could make babies, right? So they had to stay at home, they had to not get hurt, they had to do the least dangerous activities, whereas men, rather expendable, because it only takes one man to impregnate like fucking 100 chicks, alright? They were expendable, so they went out and did dangerous things like the hunter part of the hunter-gatherer society. But nowadays, you know, those gender roles have stayed, and for some reason, nobody can seem to comprehend the fact that they are antiquities of ages past. Because, you know, sociology and biological anthropology just want to keep in their own little hovels. See, if we could just learn to integrate all of this stuff, which, I don't know, would probably mean changing a lot of college curriculum, a lot of textbooks, even high school curriculum to that point, then we could probably make the fields, you know, a little bit better. We'd be seeing way more, like, advancement, and, you know, the fields would not suck as much as they would. We would have probably new fields, new careers, and all of that stuff. And when you go into the creativity part of college, you go to like the liberal arts and biological anthropology, for instance, people are not going to look at you and say, you're fucking retarded. Goddamn, go to the physics and learn how to physics, because that's where all the money is. Where, well, actually, all the money would probably be in genetics, because in the coming of the genetics age, when mapping the human genome happened, the genetics age came around, because now that we've mapped the human genome, we've come up with a whole bunch of new ways to do gene therapy and look at genetics and see how we can turn off certain parts of the human body and make it so that, you know, alcoholism doesn't affect a certain individual, because that's a biological trait that gets passed down from parent to parent, or like drug addiction, or like really, really detrimental genetic diseases. That's where the shit is. If you want to go somewhere in the sciences, go to the genetics, because that's where the shit's going down. Alright? And great, now we have to sit here and watch the loading screen, which doesn't seem to even be moving. And I assume the loading is like that little tiny baby bar at the bottom there. Although it doesn't... Oh, whoa, okay, there we go. It moved. Alright, that's cool. God